Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Transcendental Knowledge. Transcendental knowledge, the spiritual knowledge of the soul, of God, and of their relationship, is explained in this fourth chapter. It is both purifying and liberating. Such knowledge is the fruit of selfless devotional action, karma yoga. The Lord explains the remote history of the Gita, the purpose and significance of his periodic descents to the material world, and the necessity of approaching a guru, a realized teacher.
Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manve prahamanu ikshuvakve abravi.
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajrishya vidu sakale nihu mahta yoga nashtaha parantapa.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost.
Saevayam mayate adya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktasi me sakha chaiti rahasyam hi etat uttamam.
That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee, as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science.
Apramam bhavatah janma param janma vivasvatah katham etat vijaniyam tvam ado proktvaniti.
Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him?
Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava Arjuna tani ham ved sarvani na tvam vedha parantapa.
The personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy.
Ajahapi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvarapi sana prakritim swamadhisthaya Sambhavami Atmamaya.
Although I am unborn, and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Janma karma cha me divyam evam yaha veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punah janma naeti mameti sarjuna.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
वीतराग भय क्रोधाः मन्मयाः मामुपाश्रिताः बहवः ज्ञानतपसः पूताः मद्भावम् आगताः.
Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me.
Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tatha bhajamyaham mam vartam anuvartante manushyaha path sarvashaha.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha.
Kankshitah karmanam siddhim yajante iha devatah kshipram hi manushe loke siddhi bhavati karmaja.
Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world.
Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha तस्ये कर्तारं पीमां विद्धि अकर्तारं अव्ययम्.
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti mam yabhijanati karma bhihi na sabadhyate.
There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work.
Evam gyatva kritam karma urvepi mumukshubhi Guru karmev tasmat tvam urve purvataram kritam.
All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps.
Kim karma kim akarmiti kavyaha piyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshami yat gyatva mokshase shubha.
Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now, I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune.
Karmanaha hi api bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmana akarmana cha bodhavyam gehna karmana gati.
The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is.
Karmani akarma yaha pashyet akarmani cha karma yaha sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayuktaha kritsan karma krit.
One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities.
Yasye sarve samarambha काम संकल्प वर्जिता ज्ञानाग्निदग्ध कर्माणं तमाहु पंडितं
one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge.
Tyaktva karma phalasangam nityatriptaha nirashraya karmani abhipravrittaha api na eva kinchit karoti sa.
Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings.
Nirashi yatchittatma vyakta sarva parigraha Shariram kevalam karma kurvanna apnoti kilbisham.
Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions.
Yadrachalabha santushtaha dvandatitaha vimatsaraha samasiddho asiddho cha kritvapi na nibadhyate.
He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions.
Gatu sangasya muktasya jnanavasthit chetasah yajnaya charitah karma samagram praviliyate.
The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence.
Brahma arpanam brahma havi brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmevutene gantavyam brahma karma samadhina.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Devam eva pare yagyam yoginah paryupasate brahmagno apare yagyam yagyena evupajubhyati.
Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman.
Shrotraadini anye संयमाग्निषु जुह्यति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्ये इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्यति.
Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses.
Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha pare Atma Sanyam Yogagno Jubhyati Jnana Deepite.
Others, who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind.
Dravya yajñāః tapo yajñāః yoga yajñāঃ tatha pare swadhyāya jnana yajñāః ca yatayah sanshītvata.
Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge.
Apane jubhyati pranam prane apanam tatha pare pranapan gatirudhva pranayam parayana apare niyat aharaः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्यति.
Still others, who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming, and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice.
Sarve piyate yajñavidaः yajñakshapit kalmashaः yajñashishtamritbhujaः yanti brahma sanatanam.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and, having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere.
Nayam lokah asti yajñasya kutah anya kuru sattam.
O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next?
एवं बहुविधा यज्ञाः वितता ब्रह्मणा मुखे कर्मजानं विद्धितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे.
All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated.
श्रेयान् द्रव्यं यात् यज्ञात् ज्ञानयज्ञः परं तप सर्वं कर्म अखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते.
O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge.
Tat viddhi pranipaten परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनः तत्त्वदर्शिनः.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Yat gyatva na punah moham evam yasyasi pandava yen bhutani यशेषेण द्रक्ष्यसि आत्मनि अथो मयि.
Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Api cetasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papritam sarvam gyan praven vrijinam santarishyasi.
Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries.
Yatha idhansi samidhi agni bhasmasat kurute arjuna ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा.
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
nahi jnanen sadrishyam pavitram iha vidyate tat swayam yoga sansiddhiha kalenatmani vindati.
In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time.
Shraddhavan bhavate jnanam tatparaha sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shanti achirena adhigacchati.
A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace.
Yah cha shraddhanaha cha sanshayatma vinashyati nayam lokahasti na paraha na sukham sanshayatmanaha.
But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
Yoga sannyast karmanam jnana sanchinna sanshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches.
Tasmat jnana sambhutam hritam jnanasinatmanaha chitvainam sanshayam yogam atishtaha uttishta bharat.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Thus ends Chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita as it is.